This is a super exciting event. We are immersed in the light right now. What a fun experience. You know, we get to go to space. We try to share it with everybody as much as we can, and museums like the Museum of Science and schools all over the place. And we've taken 1 million pictures, literally 1 million pictures on my last increment, Expedition 72. But it really just doesn't bring it all the way home. You can look through them, and they're amazing, right? You can see some things that we've never seen before. Blue jets, red sprites coming out of lightning clouds, for example. This first time during our increment, we were able to take those pictures, and just incredible. Hopefully you got some of those as well. But this experience is really cool because it sort of puts you in our place as astronauts. Really super fun. I just wanted to talk about Moonwalkers just a little bit. This is an incredible piece of history. So glad you guys are going to be here to see this. I see a lot of youngsters in the audience. Hopefully we'll have some Moonwalkers here in the audience before too long. But this is what we did decades ago, right? We are right now on the International Space Station during this decade, as someone famous once said, right? In this decade, we have built the International Space Station. People are living in space. Before all of you were born, youngsters, 2000, we've had people living on the International Space Station doing incredible science. And why? It's because we explore, we want to understand processes in microgravity. We want to understand how we can get this generation back to the moon, potentially to live and build a station there to live sustainably so we can figure out the next place to go. So why? It seems like, what are we doing that for? Because there's questions, right? Science is all about questions. And you gotta come up with the questions. Sometimes we don't even know the questions to ask. When I was your age, I thought everything had already been explored and discovered, and I was bummed out when I learned about Galileo and all those explorers, and I was like, shoot, you know, there's nothing more to explore. Little did I know, there's so much in the ocean that we don't know, so much about space we don't know. So you guys have to start formulating the next set of questions as we leave lower Earth orbit, go back to the moon, live there, and then figure out from that space station how to move on. You probably have seen my face this last year. I apologize for that on TV a couple times. I was lucky enough to go to the International Space Station on a brand new spacecraft called the Boeing Starliner. With every new project, there are going to be some hiccups. Of course, we had a hiccup on the second day. The first day, the spacecraft flew incredibly. Anything we asked it to do, it did precisely. I got to moon the sun, for example. The back of our spacecraft is a solar panel, so I got to sit in the seat with the controls and pitch the spacecraft down so the solar panels were facing the sun, and that's how we generated power. So I call it mooning the sun. So I got to moon the sun. I don't recommend you all do it. I don't think we all have solar panels on our bikes, but the spacecraft did, so that was fun. Butch got to fly all sorts of different attitudes of the spacecraft, and it performed so well. Now, the second day after we went to sleep and woke up, we heard some things were going wrong. We heard the thrusters firing really fast. And why I bring this up is you guys probably take science classes, right? And not everything is actually known. What we need are people who are observers, not only with their eyes, but with their ears. And if they can understand something is not acting the way it's supposed to act, ask the question. Again, back to the question. Be an observer in all of your science classes. Your teacher might tell you this is what's going to happen when you combine two chemicals, but it may not. Don't just already be preconceived notion that that's what's going to happen, because you might actually discover something new. Capillary action. Anybody know what that is? That's fluid going up with surface tension, potentially up through a straw. On my first mission, we did some experiments with capillary action. Everybody thought they knew. Seems very basic, right? What's going to happen when you have some viscous fluid in a tube, in a cylinder, with a vein, and you turn it? Well, we found some brand new things with capillary action. Who knew? In space. This may help us build better fuel systems for future spacecraft, because they don't have to rely on pumps, because we found some really new characteristics. But it also helps us figure out how to feed plants hydroponically, because we're starting to understand capillary flow at the molecular level a little bit better. So a lot of the stuff we do up in space, some of these processes come right back down here to Earth. So anyway, back to Starliner real quick. So we were up there for a little while, and that's why you guys got to see my face on the news. And again, I apologize for that. But you know, when you meet something that doesn't work quite right, what are you going to do? You're going to just pivot and look at what's next. So on our space flight, I don't know if all of you are following. A bunch of folks I know from Needham, Massachusetts, have to do a shout out here. There they are back there. We're following. They knew that, you know, I've met some problems before in my life, and you just have to change and figure out what you're going to do next. So, wow, we got to learn all about new experiments, stem cell research, DNA sequencing while we're up there, capillary flow, like I was talking about, algae growth for the future. Sorry to tell you guys, you might be eating algae in the future, but it tastes good, I promise you, I promise. It'll be fun. But we got to do all of that, and we got to do a couple spacewalks while we were up in space, like you mentioned. Thank you, Talia. I'm super lucky to have able to have done that. And we found during that, when we did some swabbing on the outside of the space station, that some life can live in the vacuum of space. Like, yes, we probably created it because we swabbed near the vents, but something can live out there. That's incredible. Just like something can live on the ocean floor in the deep sea vents. Like, who thought of that? Who would have known that unless we asked those questions, right? And we have all sorts of plans to maybe go to moons of Jupiter in the future to capitalize on these types of concepts where things can be growing in different places. Anyway, enough about science, huh? Spacewalks are pretty fun though. Got to do that, but nowhere near as fun as probably a moonwalk. I've been an astronaut for a long time. We've trained a bunch of new astronauts. I'm ready to let go of the reins and let those guys fill my footsteps and make their own footsteps on the moon. So I think we're ready to see a little bit of Moonwalkers. What do you think? I'm ready. How about you guys? All right. Where should we sit? Right here? Right here. All right.
The final avoidance check between several key members of the crew here in the control center and the astronaut. Launch operations manager Paul Garland wishes the crew on the launch team to have good luck.